Hi, in this video we are going to discuss about the molecular mechanism of muscle contraction. So the usually asked questions from this part is draw and label the structure of a sarcomere in a skeletal muscle and also the steps of skeletal muscle contraction. Okay, so we'll see the first one. How can we draw and label a sarcomere? So we know that sarcomere is a region between two Z lines. So you can start by drawing the thick filaments which are composed of myosin and then the thin filaments which are composed of actin, troponin and tropomyosin. And then you can mark the area of the dark band as A band. It's called A band because it is anisotropic to polarized light. And the light band as I band because it is isotropic to polarized light. In the center of the I band you can draw the Z line. So the region between the two Z lines is called a sarcomere. Okay. Now in the center of the dark band we've got a lighter zone which is called the H zone, and in the middle of the H zone we've got an M line. Okay, so these are the important characteristics of a sarcomere. So all this should be there when you draw and label a sarcomere. Okay. Now we'll move on to the next question, that is the molecular mechanism of muscle contraction. So first, for the introduction, you can write about the contractile elements of this muscle. So as I said before, it consists of myosin, which is a thick filament. Myosin contains a head part and a tail part, right? And then you can write about actin, which are the thin filaments which consist of actin, troponin and tropomyosin. So we've got actin, on which we've got this myosin binding sites which are normally blocked by the tropomyosin. And then we've got troponin which has got three components, namely I, T and C. And C is the area where calcium comes and binds. Okay. So these points should be there when we write the introduction part. Then we have to write what is the principle of this muscle contraction. So we've got to write about this theory, cross bridge theory or ratchet theory or walk along theory. So according to this theory, the sliding motion of filaments occurs as a result of cyclic interaction between the myosin cross bridges and actin filaments in the presence of calcium and ATP. So basically muscle contraction occurs due to sliding motion of filaments, and this sliding motion is a result of cross bridge formation between the myosin and the actin filaments in the presence of calcium and ATP. So that is the cross bridge theory or ratchet theory or walk along theory. Okay. And then we can write what happens or what is the resting state of the contractile elements. So we know that the myosin head has an ATPase activity. Okay, which means it will cleave ATP to ADP. So when this happens, when an ATP binds on to the myosin head, it is cleaved to ADP and phosphate, right? And in this position, when this cleavage occurs, the head of myosin will be in an extended position. Okay. So in this state, the conformation of the head is such that it extends perpendicularly towards the actin filament. Okay, but still it will not be able to bind on to the actin. Why? Because in the resting state, the myosin binding sites of the actin will be covered by tropomyosin. Okay, so tropomyosin will be blocking all the myosin binding sites. So in the resting state, even an activated myosin head will not be able to bind on to actin because of this conformation. Okay, so this is a resting state of a muscle. Now what are the steps of contraction, or what happens when contraction occurs? So we know that the initiation of contraction occurs due to the release of calcium, right? See, when a muscle membrane is activated, there will be depolarization, which will in turn lead to release of calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Now when calcium is released, that calcium will bind on to the troponin C part of the actin filaments. Okay. When this happens, when calcium binds on to troponin C, there will be conformational change in the tropomyosin, and the tropomyosin will move away, and in such a state all the myosin binding sites will be unblocked. Okay. So when a depolarization occurs, there will be release of calcium. That calcium will bind on to the troponin C part. Once the calcium binds, there will be a conformational change in the tropomyosin and it will move away, uncovering the myosin binding sites. So that is the initiation of this cross bridge cycling, right? The next step is formation of the actin and myosin complex. So we know that the myosin is already in a perpendicularly extended position. and now when calcium binds, the myosin binding site is uncovered. So now the myosin head can bind on to the actin. Okay, so that is the second step, that is the binding of myosin head to actin filaments, right? Now the third step is the power stroke. So once this bond is formed, or once this complex is formed between actin and myosin, what happens is there is a conformational change in the head, which means the head will be like this, tilted towards the arm. So this tilting will cause movement of the actin also. Okay, and that is called the power stroke. So when there is tilted motion of this myosin head, there will be movement of the actin also. Okay, so during this power stroke, this phosphate will be released, and after the contraction or after this movement, ADP will also be released, right? So now after the power stroke, actually the myosin head is free, right? So this will cause the next step, which is detachment of head of cross bridge from the active site of the actin filament. See, I said before that now the ADP and phosphate has been removed, right? So now this site is free for ATP to come and bind, right? So new ATP will bind on to the myosin head. Now the myosin ATP complex has less affinity to these myosin binding sites of the actin. So what happens is the myosin head will be detached from this actin filament. Okay, so remember, it is a binding of ATP that is causing the detachment of myosin from this cross bridge. Okay, so moving on to the next step, reactivation of the head of myosin. So now as the ATP has bound to these myosin head, it will again be converted to ADP and phosphate, and the myosin will return to its extended position. Okay, and then the cycle will again repeat. Okay, so that is the fifth step, which is the reactivation of the head of myosin, and again the cycle will continue. Okay, so these are the steps of the muscle contraction. So now we'll just see the steps one by one again. The first step was initiation of the cross bridge cycling, where we said that the contraction is initiated by the binding of calcium to the troponin C, which will uncover the myosin binding sites on the actin, right? The second step was formation of the actin myosin complex. Once it is uncovered, the myosin can now bind on to this actin to form the actin myosin complex. Then we said there's a power stroke, which is due to the tilting or the conformational change of the head of myosin when the actin myosin complex formed. And we also said that during the power stroke, phosphate is released, and after the power stroke, ADP is also released, and that now the myosin head is free from ADP and phosphate. Since the myosin head is free, a new ATP will bind, and that will cause a detachment of myosin head from actin. And finally, there is reactivation of myosin head due to the cleavage of ATP to ADP and phosphate. So these are the basic 5 steps of muscle contraction. So now we can also see, or we should also know, the changes in a sarcomere during contraction. So I said that this is the basic structure of a sarcomere, right? So what happens during a contraction? See, during a contraction, due to the sliding movement, we know that the thin filament will be sliding over the thick filaments. So what are the changes that are occurring here? Here we can see that the A band remains constant. There is no change for the A band. But what about the H zone? The H zone has disappeared, and so the M line is not visible now, right? The I band width decreases. Here initially we had an I band, right? The light zone. That the width of I band decreases and the Z lines move closer. Yes. And finally the sarcomere shortens. So these are the changes that occur in a sarcomere when there is a muscle contraction, right? Now we should also know the steps in muscle relaxation. So when a question like steps in muscle contraction is asked, you should also finish it off by writing the steps in muscle relaxation also. So muscle relaxation occurs when all the calcium is pumped back to the sarcoplasmic reticulum. See, initially we had said that the contraction is initiated by release of calcium, right? So once there is repolarization of the membrane, all the calcium will be pumped back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum by a special pump called SERCA, right? And also there is another protein, calcium binding protein present inside the sarcoplasmic reticulum called calsequestrin. Now this will bind all the calcium together and will keep all the calcium in the sarcoplasmic reticulum itself. So the sarcoplasmic calcium concentration decreases. So the calcium will not be available to bind with troponin C. Okay. So thus the myosin binding sites will again be covered by tropomyosin, and this will lead to muscle relaxation. Okay. So calcium is pumped back. So there is no calcium to bind with troponin C. So myosin binding sites are covered again. Okay. So that are the steps. Those are the steps in muscle relaxation. Now for some additional scoring points, you can also write about some applied aspects like rigor mortis. So we know that rigor mortis is a condition in which there is stiffening of muscles after death. That is because after death there is depletion of ATP. And remember, we had said that for detachment of the myosin from the cross bridge, we need ATP to bind on to the myosin head, right? So this will not occur because there is depletion of ATP. Thus, there will be failure of detachment of the cross bridge, and that is why there is sustained contraction after death or stiffening of muscles after death. So this is an applied aspect that you can write for your exams. So to summarize, we've talked about the contractile. In the introduction, we have talked about the contractile elements, what their basic structure is. Then we've written the principle, that is cross bridge theory, ratchet theory, or walk along theory. And then we've seen how is the resting stage and what are the steps in the muscle contraction, those 5 steps. And finally, the applied aspects. Remember, when you ask steps in muscle contraction, you should also write changes in sarcomere as well as steps in relaxation also, right? Depending on the marks. So I hope the concept is clear and you know what to write when such a question comes for the exam. Thank you.